Very good evening to you. Welcome to Team Talk, the show that brings you the biggest sporting news, views and incredible stories from across Kent. Plenty coming your way in the next half an hour. Here's a look at how we're lining up. Would it be more misery for our National League sides following midweek disappointment? Find out in our roundup of the weekend's football.
We dug our own grave, as it were, made a massive mistake trying to dribble out from the back. But, it's not happened before, and I'm sure it won't happen again.
Paving the way, we chat to Dartford hotshot Alfie Pavey, who's making a big splash in the National League South.
Having to drop back down again, you've got to be level-headed, and I want to get back to where I was. I used to go out and stuff like that, no more, I don't do that. So yeah, I'm just focused on myself really, and I know where I want to be now, and having that sort of kick by getting released, I think has helped.
And what's next for the Spitfires? The search for seamers is hotting up. We speak to the KM Group's Mark Stokes.
They had a problem, certainly in the second half of last season, where they just couldn't bowl sides out. Yeah, they needed to find a sort of spearhead for their attack, I think.
All of that to come, but we'll start with a look back on what happened across the weekend's football involving Kent clubs. We'll begin in the National League, where all three of our sides were looking to bounce back following midweek defeats. AFC Fylde were the visitors to Crabble as Dover looked to try and return to the top of the table. A 1-0 loss at Dagenham had knocked them off top spot and seemingly knocked the stuffing out of them in a lacklustre first half. Mitch Walker's save the closest either side came to a goal in the opening period. The Whites showed more attacking prowess after the restart. Jay Lynch turned away Ryan Bird's flicked header, with Giancarlo Jalifoco unable to capitalise on the rebound. Lynch then made the save of the game to brilliantly deny Mitch Pinnock. It turned out to be a crucial save, as with 13 minutes to play, Manny Parry was caught in possession by Danny Rowe. The National League top scorer then grabbed his 11th of the campaign to ensure Fylde went home with the points. Back-to-back defeats for Dover, who slipped to 5th in the table.
We dug our own grave, as it were, made a massive mistake trying to dribble out from the back. But, it's not happened before, and I'm sure it won't happen again.
Maidstone were looking to avoid the same fate at Tranmere, where they were also after a sensational 8th straight-away win. But it was on 8 minutes where it all started to go wrong. Eddie Clark's cross found James Norwood, 1-0 Tranmere. Norwood and Andy Cook were causing the Stones' defence all sorts of problems, and on 17 minutes they doubled their lead, Cook turning past Alex Finney before toe-poking beyond Lee Worgan. Jay Saunders' side had chances to get back in the game though. Firstly, Zavon Hines was denied, and then Joe Piggott provided another defence-splitting pass to find the returning Delano Sam York. Tranmere stopper Scott Davis won on both occasions. Tranmere added gloss to the win late on. Initially, Ollie Norburn's deflected effort left Worgan helpless on his 200th successive Stones start, before Norwood got his second. This time Worgan did make a save, but couldn't prevent the rebound. No wins in 3 now for the Stones, and successive 4-0 drubbings mean they've dropped to 10th. Fortunately, there was better news at the Cufflink Stadium, as Ebbsfleet produced one of their best displays of the season to defeat Hartlepool 3-0. In the FA Trophy, Dartford came from behind to win 2-1 at Brentwood, whilst Margate also progressed, albeit at a round previous, courtesy of a 2-0 win over Egham Town. In the Bostik South, Thamesmead hosted promotion chasers Carshalton Athletic. The hosts had the lead on 10 minutes as Richard Paquette bundled the ball home. An injury to Carshalton goalkeeper Billy Bishop forced 18-year-old midfielder Rhys Cave into goal. It also meant there were 8 minutes of stoppage time at the end of the first half. That allowed Mikael Miller to provide the bit of spark that the hosts required, completing a strong solo run to grab an equaliser before the break. Miller's twinkle toes brought the away side a penalty 5 minutes into the second half. Jordan Cheadle stepped up, only to be denied by Lewis Carey. Cave had barely been troubled since donning the gloves, but he caved in to allow Town back in front. Richard Avery's volley squirmed through his legs to make it 2-1. Raheem Sterling Parker's introduction helped turn the tide. Much like his England international namesake on Sunday, he was heavily involved in 2 match-winning goals. First, he was put through by Miller before producing a precise finish to level the scores. And then his run and cross found Ricky Corboa, who delivered the knockout blow as the away side held on to clinch the points. Elsewhere in the Bostik South, this superb goal from Dan Carrington helped Faversham pick up 3 points against South Park. A penalty from Gill's boss Steve Lovell's son Mark made it 2-0 before South Park pulled one back courtesy of another spot kick. The visitors thought they'd nicked a point in stoppage time, only for this goal to be chalked off by the linesman. Herne Bay will be frustrated they couldn't see off struggling East Grinstead, whilst Hythe were beaten at Shoreham. Ramsgate are dangling ominously above the drop zone after dropping points at Molesey, and Sittingbourne are sliding away from the promotion places after a draw against Corinthian Casuals. Finally, in League One, Gillingham continue to struggle at home. They drew a blank against Oldham and dropped back into the relegation places. More football later on in the programme when you can see our exclusive chat with Dartford top scorer Alfie Pavey. For the time being, though, we're talking hockey as we've reached the halfway mark in the season. I'm delighted to say I'm joined in the studio this evening by Sevenoaks assistant coach Stephen Mina and Holcombe first team players Mohammed and Glen Eyers. More from these guys in a moment, but firstly let's bring you up to speed on the results from the weekend's hockey games involving our Kent sides. Here's Harry Pease.
In the Women's Hockey League, goals from Philippa Lewis, Emma Trunks and Durkee Chamberlain helped Holcombe beat Clifton Robinsons 3-0. The Hawks are now third, 3 points behind leaders Surbiton. Sarah Curley's second half goal grabbed a point for Canterbury, who despite being bottom of the league are now 4 games unbeaten. In the Men's Premier Division, despite going ahead inside the first minute through Robert Field and Nick Bandurak scoring his 12th goal of the season, Holcombe fell to Reading 4-3 at home. While Sevenoaks and Canterbury played out a 6-goal thriller in a Kent derby at Hollybush Lane. But a draw proved to be less than ideal for both teams, with both on 4 points and 6 points behind 8th place Brooklands.
Stephen, we'll start with you. Sevenoaks 3-3 with Canterbury at the weekend. How do you read that? Because you're 2-0 down at one stage, then got it back to 3-2, and with 5 minutes left you had the chance to claim all the points.
Yeah, Canterbury play a crash ball game, and unfortunately our press didn't set up quick enough. Looked for Craig Boyne, who's an amazing finisher, and that proved on the weekend when he got the ball past our centre-back, ran in on a tight angle and reverse stick shot, made it 3-3. We had a look back at our stats today, and a lot of our goals have come in the last sort of 5 to 10 minutes. So it's something that we need to try and tighten up in the next half of the season. Would you put
that down to anything? Has it been difficult to pinpoint exactly why it's in those latter stages that you're conceding goals?
Not necessarily. I think throughout the whole game we get our chances, and unfortunately, unlike everybody else, we don't put ours away. Goals change games big time. We had the 2-0 deficit, as you said. We scored a goal, we scored again, and then we're able to score towards the end of the second half. When you're on a roll, it really boosts you. And because we haven't been able to do that, we sort of come to the end of the game, and I think we're just trying to hold out. Does fatigue set in? Possibly. But what happened on the weekend was just an unlucky slip by our centre-back, and Craig got around him and scored. I mean, if it had fallen to any other player, the outcome was probably different.
Mo, Glen, 4-3 against Reading, frustrating, and on the other hand, you took the lead very early on in that one.
Yeah, extremely frustrating. I think we went 1-0 up in 11 seconds. So straight away we scored and conceded 2 quick goals. Just after that, and then conceded early in the second half, so we're back under the pump. And then we managed to pull it back, scoring 2 late goals. If we had 5 more minutes, we would have won that game. But unlucky result, and we just move on to the next game.
Was it a tight affair? Now you say you scored 2 late goals. Was it a fair result? Would you say? Or you say 5 more minutes you might have got nicked?
Yeah, after we conceded, I think we got it back. They got 2 yellow cards, and we just put pressure. They were nowhere in the game after that. So very disappointing result, to be honest with you. But it's very tight now. So back end of the season, we have to make sure we don't make those mistakes again.
11 seconds, Glenn. Have you seen a quicker goal than that?
No, I don't think so. I was just sitting there at right half, and then all of a sudden he just zipped up there and he just poked it past the goalkeeper, and I couldn't believe it. But it was a great start, and like Mo says, it kind of we just fell away a little bit, a couple of small errors, and that's goals in this league. So.
How do you assess where you are at the midway stage? It's very tight in that middle period, isn't it, in the table?
Yeah, it's really tight. So I'd say there was a couple of results that we would have liked to got a few points from, maybe the Wimbledon game that kind of got away from us as well. So we feel like we could have got some points there as well. So we're reasonably happy. We obviously would like to be put a few more points up, but going into the second half of the season, we're feeling pretty good. We've definitely built over the season and improved. So we're looking forward to getting stuck in over the off-season and coming back strong. And,
Mo, you're 8 points off the top at the moment. Can you bridge that gap?
Yes, of course we can. I think it's very tight this season. 23 points for the team that's on the top, and 15 is the team that's in 7th position. So anything can happen any week. That's what makes the league exciting. So hopefully we win first 2 games of the season and pressure's back on the top teams.
And Stephen, very tight down at the bottom as well with yourselves and Canterbury. I mean, that big game, that draw, just quickly tell us how you rate chances in the second half of the campaign.
That was a win. We had to have that win to try and keep ourselves off the bottom 2. Unfortunately, Brooklands happened to score a win on the weekend as well, which has created a bigger gap. So we just needed to make sure that we got the win. We were speaking off air before, a lot of the GB internationals are away for most
Guys,
of...
I'm just going to have to stop it there because we are going to just go into the break now. It's just reached the first half, the end of the first half, I should say, here on Team Talk. More from these guys. I won't interrupt them in the second half, I promise. We'll see you in a moment. Saving his career, Alfie Pavey dropped into non-league with Dartford. Now, after firing them to the top of the table, he's planning a route back.
I'm 22 years old, and I'm still young. So yeah, that is my aim, but like I said, I've got to do it here first.
And in this week's Team Talk teaser, we're asking exactly how many goals has Pavey scored in all competitions this season. Find out in a few minutes' time. Welcome back to the second half of Team Talk. We just asked you there, how many goals has Dartford top scorer Alfie Pavey bagged in all competitions so far this season? The answer is 15, 11 of them coming in the league. And we're asking that because Joe Caution has been chatting to Alfie about the season so far, his fall from the Football League to non-league and his career ambitions. Joe began by asking him about last week's 3-3 draw with Wealdstone, where Pavey scored twice as Dover went top of the National League South, but ultimately dropped 2 points.
Frustrating one, because it felt like a loss after going 3-2 up. We thought we had it in the bag, but that weren't the case. But on a personal note, another 2 goals for myself.
15 goals this season, 11 in the league. What's responsible for your fine form?
Just more focused, coming out of professional football as such, and having to drop back down again. You've got to be level-headed, and I want to get back to where I was. I used to go out and stuff like that. No more. I don't do that. So yeah, I'm just focused on myself really, and I know where I want to be now. And having that sort of kick by getting released, I think has helped. I'm here now. I'm fully focused on Dartford and on myself. So 1, I want to be top goal scorer. 2, I want to be playing, and 3, I want to get promoted.
What sort of goal tally are you setting yourself? Well, you're not putting a number on it. Are you just?
I said I wanted 10 before Christmas.
Smash that.
So my new target is 20 before Christmas. If I reach that, then I'm going to have to start thinking 40s, 50s.
What are your targets for your career then? What are you looking for?
I want to get back in the Football League. 100% want to get back in the Football League. That's my aim. But I know I've got to do it here first to do that. I'm 22 years old, and I'm still young. So yeah, that is my aim. But like I said, I've got to do it here first.
Driving, stolen, wavy, ocean, hate me, chosen.
Joe Caution there talking to Dartford top scorer Alfie Pavey. He's been scoring a lot of goals this season. Nick Van Durk, he's been scoring a lot of goals for you guys. Glenn, what's been behind his upturning form this campaign?
Well, I wouldn't want to make his head any bigger, but he's been playing really well this year. And I just think he's had to take a bit more responsibility on this year with a couple of goal scorers leaving in the off-season this year, and he's really stepped up to the plate and just putting his goals and just getting the right places. His flick's really sharp at the moment, and he's just top-riding everything.
And playing particularly well. Mo, what would you say about his form so far this campaign?
His form's been really, really good. Just needs to keep momentum going into the second half of the season, will be crucial, and just keep scoring goals. I think that's what we want. Keep it coming, and he's got the ability, so no reason why he can't keep scoring goals.
You mentioned the second half of the season there, Stephen. Just before the break, we were speaking about Canterbury and not Canterbury, Sevenoaks, of course, and that battle with Canterbury down at the bottom of the table. How do you see it going in the second half?
Like I said before, off air, a lot of the GB players are away for most of the next half of the season. So with the win on the weekend from Brooklands over Beeston lost a lot of their players to GB duties. So hopefully that can play into our hands as well. Just like Holcombe being mid the table, they want to try and get some of those scalps as well.
Do you think you can bridge that gap? What is it, 5 points between yourselves and 8th place at the moment?
I think so. I mean, we were saying before, our game was only 3-2. I mean, being one of the best teams in the country, Holcombe only had a 3-2 win, and then a lot of our other games have been maybe 1 or 2 goals. So we're definitely in it. We just can't put our chances away. You know, it seems like every other team, the ball falls perfectly for them, and there's a goal where we're working twice as hard to try and make things happen.
How have you found the step up since promotion?
It's been good. And you can definitely see that. The difference between a Conference League and a Prem League, and I think having those GB players in each team, or most of the teams, really adds extra value. And I think when you've got good players around you, everybody lifts. I don't think I've seen a bad game of hockey or a boring game of Prem hockey because of those players.
Well, we'll chat more about the second half of the season in a few moments, guys, but it's now time for your best of the back pages. A look at what's making the news across the county's newspapers. Earlier on today, I caught up with the KM Group's Mark Stokes. So, Mark, we're talking about Kent cricket today, and you've been speaking to the CEO, Jamie Clifford, in recent weeks. What's he been saying about recruitment plans for this winter?
Yeah, he made it quite clear that very much their priority is to strengthen the seam bowling attack. They've got a few gaps there. They let a couple of players go, Hugh Bernard and Charlie Hartley, and then obviously we lost Matt Coles to Essex. He's joined them. So there's vacancies there, and as much as Steve-O's still a great player, I mean, you can't expect him to be unreasonable to expect him to take as many wickets as he got last year when he got 62. And the backup behind him, you're looking at sort of Mitch Claydon, Matt Hunt and Grant Stewart. So yes, they're very much looking to strengthen that department. They had a problem, certainly in the second half of last season, where they just couldn't bowl sides out. One case where Leicestershire were 170 odd for 8 and they doubled their total, just the last 2 batsmen. So yeah, they need to find a sort of spearhead for their attack, I think.
One person that could help that is Alan Donald coming in. What's the latest on that? When can we expect him to be working with the players?
Yeah, I gather he's on course to finish his coaching qualifications, and then it's just a case of getting his visa, which I gather is a formality. And the hope is that he'll be with the county in the new year, and that he'll be staying with them and living in England for the duration of his contract.
And Jason Gillespie, who came in as Alan Donald's replacement last season, he's gone to Sussex. He's been tweeting this week, of course, it's the Ashes at the moment, saying he can't believe that Sam North East isn't in the squad. Could he really benefit England, do you think?
Sam North East?
Yeah,
very much. I mean, he's been outstanding in all formats now for a couple of seasons. He's proved it's not a flash in the pan, and often he gets his runs when the team are in a difficult situation in an adversity. So, and given the way that some of the batsmen gave their wickets away in that last test, I think he's exactly the sort of batsman that could do a job for England at the moment.
Well, Mark, it should be an intriguing winter ahead to see what sort of players Kent recruit. Thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, pleasure.
Mark Stokes there, looking ahead to Kent's winter recruitment. We're still joined by the guys here, and Mo, we were talking about Nick Bandurek and how good he's been for you this season. What about Barry Middleton? He's closing on 400 international appearances, scored a cracking goal a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that's a great achievement. I think playing one international game's hard enough, but playing 400, well, closing on 400's even, I think that's amazing, and I think he deserves it. He works really hard, absolute gentleman. He's just an all-round nice guy. So he's gonna reach that mark hopefully at World League final if he doesn't get injured. Fingers crossed. So wish him all the best, and he's been an absolute stalwart for England and Great Britain. So thumbs up to GB for keeping him this fit and stuff for so long.
And what about that goal we just saw there, Glenn? It was a superb strike, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's probably the best goal I've seen live playing, and I just couldn't believe when he gets it. He just, uses the guy foot as a bit of a bouncing board, and then just all of a sudden it was in the top right-hand corner of the goal. But he just does freakish stuff like that at training. I just have to pinch myself training with him, I just can't believe it.
And Stephen, for Sevenoaks, does the mid-term break give you a good opportunity to recharge and then go again for the next half of the season?
Well, yeah, definitely, because we're quite good at indoor hockey. So the last couple of years we've made it to the Super 6 finals in Wembley. So this will give us a chance now to recharge the batteries while building on just little individual skills rather than our big play. So hopefully this little bit of break for those guys who don't play indoor, give them a time to recharge, and those guys who are playing indoor, just keep working those skills and hopefully come back out firing.
More from these guys in a moment, but just before we go, it's time to check in on how our reporter Josie Hannett got on in her latest golfing lesson with 4 women. This week the girls are focusing on the logistics of their swing.
So over the last few weeks I've really got to enjoy golf. I've been out on the course and I've also been here hitting some balls on the driving range. But I think it's time now, Max, that we home in on some skills. So what do you think that's going to happen today?
You're absolutely right. Originally I let people have their head to start with and show them some of the fun stuff, and continuing on to keep the fun going. Part of the fun is hitting the ball better. So yes, we're going to get you with a more solid address position, which is the beginning, and I'm going to get you through the beginnings of the swing where it feels a bit more like a swing to you. You're doing what we do, you're swinging inside a telephone box, so you're being more and more swinging close to you to try and control everything, as opposed to swinging out and making the swing nice and wide. Wow. And all you need to do is a little swing and make sure you push your hands to the top, we call it to the target. So the club face, in fact, you could almost put it in front of the little tyre there. You've done well. You've actually learned quite a lot today.
Yeah.
You just,
Definitely. I think it's quite frustrating though for me, is like, I know where I want the ball to go, but it's just not going there.
No, absolutely. Join the club. Mine doesn't always go there either. It's all about practice. It'll come.
There's nothing more satisfying than whacking a ball the other end of the field, something that I really enjoy and I find is a great stress reliever. What I did underestimate though is how much the wind affects my hair and what I can see. Max has given me a golf club that I can practice in the garden with so that hopefully my progress improves, and to see if that does happen, tune into Team Talk next week. In the meantime, keep golfing, girls.
forwomen.co.uk, the place to go if you do want to join Josie and the other women in trying out For Women, which is a very exciting and new initiative which is going on at the moment. Still joined by Mo, Glenn and Stephen. Just before we go, guys, Mo, what are you going to be getting up to during the winter period?
Yeah, I'm off back to South Africa for some indoor hockey, hopefully make the indoor World Cup team, otherwise get some sunshine.
And, yeah, don't stay here. Glenn, where are you up to?
Well, getting stuck into the indoor, obviously, and the tournament up in Birmingham, and then heading to Berlin for a bit of a Kiwi Christmas with my brothers. So yeah.
And Stephen, a chance to do a bit of coaching for yourself?
Yeah, so I've got a shortened break because I coach the second 11 team at Sevenoaks. So while the first team have a longer break, the second 11 will keep carrying on straight after the Christmas break.
And Mo, just quick prediction on how Holcombe going to get on the second half of the season?
Hopefully top 4, and then playoffs, and anything can happen then.
Stephen?
Just 8th or 9th. 8th or 9th, fine.
OK, well, guys, thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's been excellent stuff. Good luck for the second half of the season. KMTV.co.uk is the place to go if you missed any of today's programme. We'll see you again next Monday. Good night.